Hello, my lovely audience and my dear friends. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow on the East-West with G&E TV for many years with lots of pride. Yes, if you're talking about California, you always focus to Southern California. If you're talking about Southern California, you're talking about Greater Los Angeles. You're talking about Greater Los Angeles, talking about 5 counties, one of which the biggest is L.A. County, Los Angeles County. For Los Angeles County, we all love because we belong to our Los Angeles County. You're talking about Los Angeles County, you're talking about your own home yard, your own backyard, front yard, backyard, whatever, your own home. So the safety, public safety, about you own yourself, that is so important. For the past years, we have seen something with the L.A.S.D, L.A. County Sheriff Department, and something has caught the eyes, caught the public eyes. Good or bad, we are not giving comment as for today's show, but we are looking forward to see a better L.A.S.D.
Yes, we are.
We're looking forward to see a better L.A. County. And for that, we call for to utilize the beauty of this beautiful flag of democracy to see if we have any better hand for the job. All right? Okay, now today, at G&E TV, you ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Here, something will happen. Something will get to your ear, to your eye. That some information very important will be officially pronounced or declared by my dear friend Robert Bob Lindsay.
Thank you, Jack.
So welcome, sir, to the show.
Thank you once again.
I'll let you do the announcement first before I get too long.
Well, thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. Well, today I'd like to officially announce that I am running for Los Angeles County Sheriff in June of 2018. But the campaign begins here today with my friend Jack.
Very good. We all hear that? Okay, David, put your hands together for the moment. Very good. I believe my audiences are excited already, especially if you happen to be Asian Americans. We all know back then when Asian Americans were in the eye of the public, were paid enough attention, we had a better time enjoying our environment. Now, no longer the same calendar, and that's why we are eager to see some change. Right?
Yes.
Good, very good. With me today also, to my pleasure, huge pleasure, is another big man, Mr. David Martinez, and he is the former L.A.S.D officer, a lieutenant, and he was involved in narcotic traffic and everything. Right? And probably you cited my ticket. Cited me a ticket already. I don't know.
No.
Back then. And he's retired now. He was also one time a chief police of Arizona County.
Yes.
Right? Okay. And now he is obviously a supporter, huge supporter to my friend Bob Lindsay. So to you, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Good, very good.
Jack, I appreciate it.
Honestly, to my audience, this is not the first time they see Bob's face, right? Several times. During those several times, I did say something, say, Bob, are you running something? He says, maybe. Well, the hidden word is that he's getting ready. He was preparing himself. Now is the moment, right? Okay, now.
Yes.
I know he has something in his mind, and I know he has a bigger plan, which later on I'll let him go one by one. To you, sir, I would need a little background story about yourself, and so that we know who give the credit to.
Well, my name is David Martinez. I retired as a lieutenant from the L.A. County Sheriff's Department. I served in many capacities with the Sheriff's Department. In patrol, approximately 5 years working narcotics, mostly in South Central Los Angeles. I also worked a gang task force and had a number of other positions, including being in operations at the Sheriff's Radio Center for approximately 4 years.
Oh, all right, very good. And how many years altogether you stayed with L.A.S.D?
With L.A.S.D, I was a little over 22 years.
A little over 22.
Right, and I also served prior to entering the L.A. Sheriff's Department.
I see.
I worked LAPD.
I see. With the all experiences acclaimed during the 22 years over of time, you decided to support him.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Very good. Why you decided to support him, not anybody else?
Well, I've known Bob for about 36 years, and also hold the distinction, although I don't know if that'll be in Bob's best interest or not to divulge it, but I was his training officer.
Okay, is there anybody better than Bob?
There is none. There is none.
All right, in other words, put together of all the experience over the past 22 years and looking around you, everybody available, you decide in your mind that Bob is the best hand for the job.
That's correct, and I had told Bob long ago if he ever ran for sheriff to give me a call, and I'd support him 100%.
Okay, you know what I told him? I said, you ever decide to run, please declare the heater my station, my show. And he's doing it.
Yeah,
very
I did.
Good choice.
All right, good choice, right?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
now,
you.
Bob, let me lay down a little logic. The logic being, I may not been able to watch your day-to-day activities for the past, you've been there for 32 years, right?
Yes, a little over 32 years.
I did my homework, 32 years. I was not supervising or whatever, seeing you act at your job duty, right? I can borrow his credit. I can borrow all the credit the previous Friday at the warm-up party, remember?
Yes.
And then I went with my wife, right?
Yes.
And I heard everybody talking about you and even Lee Baka, right?
Yes.
So I decided, oh, probably Bob is the one, right? So now, how do you think about yourself? Is there anybody better than you for the job?
I don't believe so.
Oh,
and let me tell you why. 32 years with the Sheriff's Department, starting from the ground floor, starting at the Hall of Justice, working the jails and working multiple jails, then working multiple patrol stations.
Okay.
Inside the department, the director of personnel, hiring, recruitment, and all of those things. I believe they give me the inside opportunity to understand the department better than anybody else.
All right, okay. I do agree. It is the logic. It is the same logic. Talking about a job, talking about a position, you have two options. You might get somebody airborne from nowhere, out of nowhere. Might be high ranking, might be whatever. So, but he doesn't know the job. He needs training. He needs to start. He needs to warm up. By the time he's warmed up, one term already have passed. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Maybe two. All right. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not even warming up to my new job, and they need time. L.A. do not have the time as a county. Do you think so?
No, they don't. And I will tell you, having been on the department for so long, I learned this, that every job in the department is different, but every job in the department touches other places. So in other words, there's domino effect. Once you've been in the department for quite some time and you learn, you realize that if you do something in this position, it impacts other positions. And that's not something you can come in and know right away. It's the largest sheriff's department in the world.
All right.
So to come in not knowing anything about it, there's a huge learning curve.
That really reminds me of something. It was exactly yesterday. I was eating with a bunch of reporters, by the way, Chinese reporters. I told them somebody might announce their big news of running L.A.S.D. I don't want to tell you the name now because it's not officially confirmed yet. And I did explain to them why somebody is running, because people see something missing. And then I was further explaining to them about how the L.A.S.D system works rather than, for example, a hospital. A doctor sees a patient, prescribes it, and then it goes to pharmacy and get the medication or whatever, and it comes to a nurse. A nurse's job is going to put a needle in, push it in, that's it. That's the job by job, department by department. So in your eye, the way the 32 years confirms with your experiences the L.A.S.D is not operating that way, right?
No, it's not operating that way. But I will say this, the sheriff can't run everything. The sheriff has to trust his people to do their jobs. He has to empower them. So in other words, a captain at a station is the equivalent of a police chief. So if you go to a private community and there's a police chief, that's what our captains are. So you have to pick the right people for the job, and then you have to trust them to do their job.
Very good. Very well said. Very well said. Exactly was discussed at the lunch table yesterday, talking about how the relationship between a sheriff and a deputy sheriff, right? I'm talking about the sheriff being the one, and all the deputies around him doing the job. The job, you have to authorize everybody to be standing on their own to do the job, and the job includes everything.
It does. The deputies can't be looking behind their back to believe you're second guessing them.
I see.
What you have to do is you have to allow the deputies to go into the community, to be with the community and understand that community.
I see. Okay. We know about from your statement about you stayed there in L.A.S.D for 32 years.
Yes.
You always were traveling. In other words, use a funny word, traveling from department to department with the L.A.S.D system. Ranking-wise, where have you been? How have you been? And before you retire, what is your last rank?
Well, I started as a deputy sheriff trainee in the academy, and then I became a deputy, and then a sergeant, a lieutenant. Then I was promoted to captain, and finally to commander.
The commander. How many commanders do we have in L.A.S.D, whole organization?
Well, I believe there's some 30 some odd commanders.
Okay, you're one of them.
Yes, I was. I retired though.
You were one of them.
Yes.
Right, very good.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. That's very well said. So, David, it is the first time that I see you. My pleasure, by the way, a lot.
Thank you, sir.
And I know that L.A.S.D, I myself refers to hear more stories from the ground up. How important the job is for a sheriff. To be active, to be touching all age groups, all ethnic groups. It is the most important part that we see missing at this very moment. How about we take a short moment out? When we come back, I'll borrow some experience from you to tell me and the audiences about the importance of that part, please.
Sounds fine to me. Sure.
Very good. Sounds good to him.
Excellent.
And
Thank you,
sounds
Jack.
good to you?
Perfect.
Very good. And to my audience today, I myself having the pleasure, such a pleasure. Of course, I know the credit goes to G&E TV. G&E TV has the pleasure of being used by one of the most hopeful candidate for, I would say the hopeful. I don't care anyway. Let me advance it. The hopeful candidate for L.A.S.D County Sheriff, Mr. Bob Lindsay, to officially announce his campaign decision and the campaign launch as of today. So we'll be right back after this very short break. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to the show, my lovely audience, especially you happen to be a Angelino. My dear fellow Angelinos, welcome back to the show because we're talking about our county sheriff. With me is the candidate, the most hopeful of the very hopeful, the best candidate for, in my eye, L.A.S.D, Mr. Bob Lindsay.
Thank you, Jack, once again.
Sure. And Bob Lindsay, he doesn't pay me for doing this. As a matter of fact, I donate. Why? Because I believe he is a good man for the job, the right man for the job. At a time of election, you're always talking about picking up the right man do the job. The right man being, number one, he is well experienced, right? Number two, he's ready to work. Number three, if it is called, sacrifice, right? Something like that. Altogether, we call this person, he or she, the right man or woman. You believe you're the right one?
I absolutely do, Jack, without a question.
Very good, sir. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
All right, I got to turn to David. With David, we agreed that we want to use his experience for over 22 years in the L.A.S.D, talking about the importance of having a chief, the chief, who pays attention to every ethnic group, so that L.A.S.D, working together with the residents of L.A. County as a group job, teamwork. So your take, please, sir?
Yes, the sheriff of the county is really the most important individual, because through him is the way the department runs, the way it works, and it also takes on the sheriff's personality. And in Bob Lindsay, we have an individual who cares about the people, both the people that work for him and the people that we all work for in the community. So it's important for us to be able to have a leader who have willing participation and following from the staff, the entire department, because only that way, with that willing cooperation, are we able to serve the community in the way it needs to be served. And that includes various aspects of the community, various cultures, various ethnic groups, and so that's why I chose to be with Bob. He has always demonstrated to me that he had the ability to get a following and to be the leader that most of the department wanted to work for.
All right, very good, very good, very good, very good, very well said. And I believe that is very profound, because you seem to have touched some theory, the fundamental theory of what law enforcement belong to, right? So now, the other day with Bob, I checked with him, because that wasn't the time that we knew that he is launching for his campaign for that position, but I did check with him about his philosophy. And the other day I was asking him about his definition of law enforcement, typically focusing on the word enforce, right? So I'm going to ask you the same question again. Excuse me for doing it twice, but I do it for the purpose of my audience, for them to understand who you are.
I appreciate that, Jack.
The definition of the word enforce, please.
Right. Enforce and law enforcement in general is a lot more than just arresting people. That comes with a job naturally. You get calls to go places and you're going to end up having to arrest people. But the real true heart of law enforcement is getting to know the community, getting to understand what their needs are, and understanding that when somebody calls for help, that we're going to be there, that we're going to be there to understand their issues and their problems, and we'll be able to solve them also.
All right, that's very well said, very well said. And I hear that very loud. In situations when there is emergency, there is a situation when officers are called to enforce the laws, which are the case, right? The cases. There are more often than not such a situation. Not such a situation. There is no emergency, and it's been peaceful for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, like that. And where does the word enforcement apply, please?
Well, the word enforcement, if you're called out to a situation, is one where, and this is where the deputies have to be empowered. They have to make decisions. In other words, if you're called out to a situation, let's say it's a domestic violence situation, you have a father and a mother that are fighting, and there's children in the house. This is a situation where for one moment, everybody's mad at each other. But what's the police officer's job?
All right.
It's to make everybody understand the situation. It's to make everybody understand and calm down. So police officers have to have a calming effect.
All right, very good, very good. I appreciate it very much for that. You are hitting the nail on the head, right? There is two different definitions, okay? Let me check with you and with David. you come to the, you present to the, present yourself to the incident for the purpose of arrest. For the purpose of arrest, that's one way. You come to the situation for the purpose of calm everything down, to control the situation, to see if it is necessary anybody to be arrested.
That's correct.
There are two. There are two.
Yes.
Can you, before you can say anything, I would have to ask David, how would you handle these two?
Well, it's fairly simple once you've been empowered, as Bob said, and you have the ability to control the situation. Control precedes enforcement. And during the course of that time, a seasoned deputy will run the gamut of emotions from, is there a weapon in the house? Is the situation suddenly going to turn violent? Or is it just a matter of toning everything down, cranking it down a few notches? For that, the deputy has to be always prepared. So you start out, and the escalation of additional force, if any is to be used, comes with the changing mood and the changing times and the
de-escalated already.
Right, and then you also have to be prepared that at any given moment it will escalate, and you have to be prepared to change that. That's why it's necessary to have a leader that understands what it is to be a real policeman on the street, and to convey to the rest of the department that at any given time you will not be prejudged or judged after the fact should the situation turn violent and you have to take force.
Yeah, all right, okay, very good, very good. Excuse me, Bob, and excuse me, David, I'm asking a question. Accidentally, I'm touching a very philosophical ground. I wasn't prepared to do so, but I have to now that we're deep in it. Now, here's the philosophy, basic philosophy. You're called to respond to that situation because husband, well, okay, let's fake a situation, all right? The husband says, in the heat, I'm gonna kill you, like that. So in Chinese culture, the word kill not necessarily always mean kill. Say, I'm tired, right? The Chinese word might say, oh my God, I'm tired to death. The word death is mentioned. I believe you have a friend, he's my friend too. You may later ask him the word death. In that situation, does it really mean to die? No.
No, well, that's Jack.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to death. That's the Chinese way of expression. Okay, when the husband say, I'm going to kill you, might not be exactly he's preparing to bang, shoot the wife. That's just a word. However, it was an escalated situation when you arrive. When you arrive, once you arrive, you do see the de-escalation of the situation. The wife is not pressing charge. The husband says sorry. Are you here still to collect the credit of the law? Say, guy, okay, I gotta handcuff you. I gotta take you because you said the word dead. So I am talking basically, officially, I mean obviously, I'm talking about a culture, which according to David, wants to be officers trained with. So the culture depends on the leader, who the leader is. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. So any of you want to give me a little comfort?
I would love to. This is the importance of the position of the sheriff. It's important in this regard. You have to hire the right people. You have to hire people who understand the community that they serve. We need to be recruiting in the Chinese community, in the Asian communities, so that we can hire more and more people who understand that culture, so that when they go to a domestic violence caller, they just go to a neighbor dispute, that they understand the culture, the language, the words that are being used, so that there is no overreaction, but there's an emphasis on understanding the situation as it is rather than how we think it is.
To counter your culture, there has been a culture which is based upon the vigilante system. When you said that word, the law's been offended. For that offense, you got to pay a handcuff, something like that. It goes in a rotation. however it down. So I would say if I'm right, I say what I say might represent quite of my folks over there behind the camera. They might know what I'm talking about. So we know the word enforcement, enforce, is important. To what extent? Okay, to whom the officers are devoted to community or the law?
Well, they're devoted to both, but what it is, there you have to understand the intent of the law and the intent of the message.
All right.
So if the message from the individual is cultural, we have to understand that. Because the law is very clear in what you do, but the law is intended to also enforce a violation of it that is a true violation, not something that's not a true violation. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Oh, very good. That does. That does. Summertime, when there are open windows, the night a woman crying, "Kill me, kill me!" You'll never take that seriously. That might be lovemaking. I don't know.
Well,
okay, let's take a short moment out. I'm very glad today. I get some answer. I'm getting close to the answers I wanted. Thank you very much. We'll be right back to continue with our third segment. With me, my good friend, my icon, the future LA County Sheriff, Bob Lindsay, and his good friend, supporter, David Martinez. So we'll be back right away, please. Hello, my lovely friends, my dear fellow Angelinos. Welcome to the show, a discussion talking about Los Angeles. Angelinos, when Angelinos talking about Los Angeles County, you must be very serious. To be precise, today we're officially launching the campaign for Bob Lindsay for County Sheriff of LA. So, Bob, once again, congratulations.
Thank you,
and
sir.
I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And I know you will win.
Thank you very much.
I can announce that, right? And to his right-hand side, Mr. David Martinez, and L.A.S.D retired officer, retired detective, lieutenant. Well, that's it.
Don't demote me, please.
All right, good. I will not. Once there were once that you were LAPD, right?
Yes.
All right, very good. And he put up 22 of the glorious years in the service, and he knows Bob Lindsay quite so well, and he is supporting Bob Lindsay from the bottom of his heart. We were at a point last segment talking about definition of the word law enforcement, and we came to almost a conclusion, say, the word enforcement might not only refer to the arresting part. The other part could be somewhere in the area of education, even, right? So,
yes.
One other word, the question would be asked: once you're a sheriff, how you want to polish the culture? I use the word polish. I don't want to be so harsh on that, but a big word, polish, that I could think of at this very moment. How do you want to do that change of the culture, please?
Well, you polish that law enforcement ability through not only hiring and recruiting in the community, but training all law enforcement officers regarding that community. You do that through community liaison, from putting together groups, like take for instance L.A.S.D, which was disbanded by this sheriff. So that group was specifically put together so that the message from the community could get directly to the law enforcement in a manner that people felt comfortable.
In other words, what you're saying is that the law enforcement is a two-way street, not a one-way street.
It's always
right?
a two-way street.
I suppress, you surrender, that's it. That's law enforcement. So that's not the only part of it.
No,
so
much more to it.
You're talking about a two-way street.
Correct.
Right? The L.A.S.D group that I was working on that group back then when I was a reporter and on the field, I know a lot about how it works, right? And the Asian, what is that? Asian Task Group?
Asian Crime Task Force. Yes.
All right, what is that?
Well, the Asian Crime Task Force was put together, I believe, sometime around 1999, maybe 1998, by then Sheriff Lee Baca. And it was put together for the purpose of exactly taking the community, the Chinese community, and giving them their own law enforcement complement.
I see.
So it was comprised of 12 Asian officers or their counterparts that looked at nothing but Asian crime. And they were able, from a centralized place, to be able to take phone calls from all over the county, coordinating and then reacting to each of those crimes. They became basically a place, a safe place, where people knew they could call, where they knew they could call, and the person at the other end of the line would understand them, understand the culture, and understand their needs.
Once you took office, are you willing to reinstall or reactivate these two groups?
Immediately.
Immediately. David, are you in support to his reinstallation of these two projects?
Yes, sir, I am, and there's multiple reasons, part of which we touched on before. Knowing the cultural differences, knowing the meaning of certain words as not necessarily to be taken literally, but that every culture, every ethnic group has their own verbiage that they use to express certain emotions, which isn't necessarily to be taken, as you said.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Lieutenant. That's very well said. Go ahead.
And besides that, not just with the Asian Task Force, but in any situation where you have some sort of crisis going on, the deputy's ability to act in a way that will calm a crisis situation is very important. That alleviates a lot of investigation by supervisors as to why force has to be used. Was it reactive by the deputies, or was it legitimately necessary because they felt threatened by the way and the direction that it was going?
He obviously also mentioned another area. By doing so, you could save up lots of resources because you prevent the money spent elsewhere for doing nothing, right?
Right. Well, the decentralization of crimes to just stations alone takes experience away. There's something to be said about experience in anything that we do.
All right.
And when you pull a group of people focused on specific crimes, not only do they solve the crimes quicker, better, and faster, but they teach each other. And they're able to communicate much easier. So take, for instance, you have a crime that occurs in one city, in the next city another crime occurs, and in the third city a third crime occurs. If each of those cities has a detective handling them individually, it doesn't work as well as one central place knowing there's been 3 crimes, connecting them all together and understanding, hey, wait a minute, we can solve this. This is only one person committing the crime. It might be.
One perpetrator.
Exactly.
Right? Could be. All right. That together I would say, one of the largest concern of the Asian American group and Latino American group. And those majority, I would say, if you look at Southern California, namely Los Angeles, Greater Los Angeles, County of Los Angeles, you see lots of, maybe more, putting together more of the minorities than the native-born or Caucasians, or even, right? For missing them is about 50% of the population. Am I right by doing little mathematics?
Yes. Yeah, it's important that we take, though, the different cultures, and we need to meld them together in the end. But until you understand each individual culture and deal with them, you have to do that in a manner that serves that specific community the best. This isn't a one size fits all. It doesn't work that way.
All right.
So you have to take a look at each community, and you have to say to yourself, how can I best serve this population, and who can best serve this population? In the end, we all are the same. We're one people. We're Americans, right?
Yeah. I want to say, David and Bob and my audience, my dear lovely audience, I want to say I'm totally convinced. Being a man sitting here doing the job, I have opportunities of meeting all kinds of people, seeing through their hearts, right? Seeing through their character, their quality. And I know that we found a person for the job.
Thank you, Jim.
The right person for the job. Because you are talking about, well, let's take a little moment out. When we come back, we'll continue once again on the philosophy. It is such a law enforcement philosophy that we have been missing for quite a long time. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences, my dear fellow Angelinos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Jack Shao gets excited today because I have the pleasure of having my good friend, Bob Lindsay. In other words, a good friend for Los Angeles. Good friend for Los Angeles County, the backbone for Los Angeles County. Once taking office, he will be the sheriff for L.A.S.D.
Yes, sir.
So for that job, weighing the size, everything, we want to make sure that falls on the right set of shoulders. Right? And looks that we found one, according to friends like David Martinez, and also many, many others that I met the previous Friday, about 30, 40 of them, including Li Baka himself. I even had a picture taken with him. He said, "Jack, do the right thing." I said, "Okay, of course, I always do the right thing." Everybody says to me, "Jack, do the right thing." I am now promising to my audience that I'm doing the right thing. Support the ones, only the best for the job. Right now, we had, for the past segments, talking about the philosophy, law enforcement, the word enforcement philosophy for quite a bit, right? I want you, Bob, give a sum up about how you want to call it the culture that should be for L.A.S.D, please.
L.A.S.D should be focusing on the community. They should be focusing on bringing the right resources to the right people at the right time. It doesn't do the community any good if they don't know how to get things solved in their community. There has to be a community liaison wherein you, out in the community, know exactly who to call. They speak your language, they understand your culture, and that you know that you have the confidence in them that they're going to get the job done right.
Exactly. For example, if you have my telephone number in the bank, if it comes to a situation, somebody need an interpreter between Chinese and English, and I so happen to be free, yeah, a call would help resolve the whole issue.
It would.
Right?
It would.
System like that I like, and I knew it was working like that, and working effectively, and I don't know how and why, but it diminished, so we want to restore it right now. Talking about campaign itself, right? I know for campaign there are major three parts, right? The part number one, who you are, what have you done, what you want to do, the capability of the man, the woman, whoever, right? Number two, the endorsement, who endorses you, and number three, the money. Am I right?
Yes.
I know for number one you have no problem. For number two, probably you have no problem either, because I see those big guys supporting. Oh, by the way, the union. I believe by hearing you talking, I know the union must be behind you. I don't know for sure yet. How about that?
Well, the unions have made no decisions, and typically they won't for another 4 or 5 months. So I am hoping that the unions will support me. I know that I'm hoping that the deputies will support me and the community.
Your philosophy and your approach, I believe, are very union friendly.
Absolutely. I used to be on the board of a union, the police union.
And then next thing down to is about the fundraising. How about money? How do you plan the size of money and the ways? Is there a fundraiser coming? And you may let my audience know, you never know who they are. There might be humongous supporters over there, right? Please.
Well, I would appreciate that. If you want to donate to my campaign, you can go to Bob, B-O-B, the number 4, Sheriff, SHERIFF.com. So bobforsheriff.com, and read about me. Read about my goals, my vision,
All right.
and read what I want to do for the community, and then push that donate button. Because the more money I have, the more I can get my message out there.
All right, okay. I know campaign is not for money, but campaign cannot do without money.
That is correct.
Right? This is almost by logic, right?
Yes.
Check about Hillary Clinton. Check about Donald Trump. How much dollars, how many dollars they spend, right? It's the same thing. We want to make our audiences know, David, the number one, the name of Bob Lindsay has to be on a straight. And how are you prepared, and you and your group people supporting him, and the signs and websites or stuff like that?
Yes, and it's fairly atypical kind of campaign because the name of the game is getting the candidate's name out in front of the people to where they hear it, they see it, people talk to them, they have meetings, and they bring out the qualities of the individual. So in that respect, that's nothing new and innovative. It's just hard work and feet on the street.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, Jack, I'd also like to say to all of your listeners, if they want to host something at their home, if they want me to come visit them, if they want to hear my message in person,
good.
I'd love to come out there to talk to them personally.
All right, okay, very good. I would say with the 88 cities around, right? And you're talking about a big part of the benefit of Californians.
Yes.
Right. Suppose, I'm not saying that LAPD is not important, but I always compare these by the size of the area, territories. You're talking about 88 cities, right? And now nearby, you're talking about Temple City, about Rosemead, El Monte. No, El Monte has his own, and South El Monte, and the Montebello stuff, like all the way down. So this is important. This is so important. Like I said in the very beginning, it's about our own backyard.
Yeah, and I want your listeners to know, even if they have a private agency like Montebello or San Gabriel PD, it's still LA County. And the LA County Sheriff's Department has all of LA County, even those types of cities. So we are important to them, as is their local police department.
Okay.
And there's also mutual aid, which many times when the forces or the departments run out of resources or don't have sufficient resources to take care of whatever problem is going on in their city, they will call upon the Sheriff's Department to bring adjunct personnel and helicopters, whatever is necessary to assist them.
It's kind of like the backbone for the whole county, and then down to the very end, it's going to be L.A.S.D anyway.
Yeah, the sheriff has the lead in the county.
All right, good. And in situations like right now, with the statistics, what are those areas that you feel not satisfied of that you would change?
Well, crime is on the rise, and there's a multitude of reasons for that. But crime is on the rise, arrests are down. That's not a good recipe for the community, for any community. The Sheriff's Department at this point has almost 1,500 vacancies, deputy vacancies.
Vacancies?
That's way, way too many. It's unsustainable. And then there's also, at the same time, 1,800 sheriff's employees who are out injured. So they're not showing up to work. They're in some sort of disability mode. So if you add the 1,800 plus the 1,500, that's a lot of employees on the sheriff's department at this point that aren't there to serve the public.
Not answering duties or unable to answer duties at this very moment to serve the public, to serve the community.
That needs to be immediately fixed.
1,500 vacancies and 1,800 of called sick or injured.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's 33.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. And then what's the total number?
Of employees on the, or will be, the items that we have on department, about 17,000.
17,000. Out of 17,000, you're talking about 3,300 missing.
Yes.
Right? So.
Well, there's more than that. Because aside from those numbers, when the sheriff does something to take somebody off of duty for an investigation and puts them at home, the numbers are even higher than that.
I see. And then you have to have another reserve for an organization that size. You always have somebody asking for leave.
Yes.
For example, some sick leave, some maternity leave, somsoever, right?
Yes.
And then for that is a moving around the rotation. Back then in your time, to say still the same thing. Only numbers are smaller, right? Do you think that makes sense?
There were, and also it needs to be noted that we used to have what's called a reserve program. And reserves were individuals who came on the department, received a significant amount of police training, and could serve in different capacities that would alleviate the need for a fully sworn deputy sheriff, so that the fully sworn could go out and be taking care of police business.
Yes.
For whatever reason, the administration chose to eliminate the majority of the reserve program. And it should be noted too, the last thing, the reserves served for whatever amount of hours they served for the salary of $1 per year.
Oh my God, that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
That's the beauty of it. So once you take office, you want to activate it?
We need to rebuild that reserve program. We need to build that program with businessmen, with community members that understand the cultures, that speak the language, and that can go out and assist us for that high-paid amount of $1 per year.
All right. Oh my God. And I believe my audience all heard that. Today is the official launch for Bob L.A.S.D running for county sheriff for L.A. County. It's a big news. It's a big position because all L.A. County, everywhere in Southern California must know by the morning or this afternoon that we shall have a new hand there. That's Bob L.A.S.D, who I support 100%, if not 111. And I have my fellow supporter, David, with me. And there are a bunch who I met 2 weeks ago on a Friday. I wish Bob a very good luck. And I know that we are confident together we make a difference, right?
Yes, so we will, Jack.
If you want to get involved, go check Bob 4, number 4, sheriff.com, something, that website, Bob 4, number 4, open 4, sheriff.com, to check about his resume and his slogan, his target, and his resolution, so on and so forth. You will learn. You'll know who you're talking about. To David and to you, sir, thank you very much. And to my audience, yes, we'll be back on this issue. We'll do it over and over again till next June. So, see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.